So I'm going to present a success story, an exemplary building. In 2007, as Grégoire told you, the region promoted exemplary buildings through a call for projects. There were 5 calls for projects that were launched since 2007 for all types of clients, public, private, semi-public clients, private households, or real estate developers for all types of buildings, schools, offices, social housing, etc. We have hospitals, as Ismail said. There's a mosque as well that was selected as well. And for all types of work, new building or refurbishment, the only condition is that the building must be located in the Brussels region. There are 4 evaluation criteria, and they are of the same importance. They have to be very good performances in terms of energy efficiency, with the production of renewable energy. Also, eco-construction is a criterion, so that's a special attention to land planning, waste management, the use of materials, water management, amongst others. These projects must be reproducible from a technical but also from a financial point of view. These are not prototypes that are not possible to reach. Everybody can identify themselves with this type of building. And then the last criterion is architecture. You'll see that the architectural quality is not incompatible with high environmental performance. So these are the 4 criteria, and they allow us to assess buildings through a process that I'm not going to give you details of, but there's a jury, and it's once a year with a call for project every year. There are 3 kinds of support. As Grégoire said, financial support first. It's a subsidy of €100 per square meter, more or less. The second criterion is quality control to help find or achieve the targets, and also support to disseminate the know-how in terms of exemplary buildings. And the last is promotion. Promotion through websites, for example, and visits like the visit you're going to have tomorrow, but also a book to be published. And we'll send you a copy of that book if you want. Just have to ask for it. And all these projects allow us to get information, 2 types of information basically. First, the consumption will be monitored during a 5-year period once a building is built, and then a lot of technical information as well about the know-how, again, how to build a sustainable building. You'll see that the techniques are changing, they are developing, also the design methods are developing in exemplary buildings. And then it's a logo, and it's mainly one action amongst many others that the region launched since 2004, 2007. So this is a logo you will see on the buildings that are exemplary buildings in Brussels. It's a plate with a logo that identifies these exemplary buildings in Brussels. Thank you. 156 projects, that's the number of winners, 254 candidates, We'll probably have more now with the selection for 2012. Here you have the distribution of the 156 winning projects. You see, it's not just one neighborhood, it's really all over the Brussels territory, and it's a continuous expansion. We have 52 buildings that are finished. It's a bit more than 100,000 square meters. 44 are still under construction. Others are still being designed and will be built in the forthcoming years. A few figures. We have 35% of refurbishment work. And that's where the energy savings potential is the highest. And that's as underlined previously, and that's where we have to make many efforts indeed. Exemplary buildings and passive house buildings are not the same. In the exemplary buildings, you have the eco-construction criterion, reproducibility, architecture. But we see an evolution between 2007 and 2011. We've moved from 20% to 75% of exemplary buildings. So that's more than 160,000 square meters. The public authorities play an important role. They've been the leaders on the market so far, and we see that the trend is changing now. The private market is catching up, and it's important for the stakeholders to be leaders. And since 2007, we've also seen that the buildings are reaching their passive targets in an easier manner, because the design is more and more integrated, and at an early stage. The solutions that are put in place are smarter. They are much smarter. You're not using an army to kill a fly. We see that the scale of the buildings is also increasing. So the size is not an obstacle, it's not a hindrance, and the price of the buildings is decreasing. So the buildings are cheaper now. For the first buildings, there was an important additional cost, and this is due to the techniques that were to be integrated. So we have now cheaper prices. You see the trend for the refurbishment of collective housing. We were at 60 kilowatt per hour. In 2012, we are about 30 kilowatt per hour per square meter per year, and then passive standards are also reached for refurbishment work. So the standard is reliable for all types of buildings. As Grégoire said, it was an explosion. We've had a real explosion since 2007 in terms of passive buildings built in Brussels. I'm going to end by insisting on the fact that these exemplary buildings are real. They're concrete buildings. You'll see them tomorrow. It's not just a nice speech. This was the first passive house in Brussels. It was built at the end of 2008, I believe, and we've moved to this. Look at this. This was a candidate for the exemplary building. It's a tower in line with the passive standards of more than 60,000 square meters. And you have all kinds of architecture for refurbishment work, all types of typologies, building typologies, and all different kinds of uses.